What would you say to someone looking to optimize their hormones as far as simple steps they could take to start to do that?
If we think of it from the light perspective first, because the nutrition side is great. And look, for me, I was all about the nutrition side of things, and it didn't really move the needle too much for me. Um, but it amplified it basically when I started to address other things. So the circadian stuff is huge there, which we delve deep into. But the light environment. So again, the artificial light at night is going to increase cortisol. And cortisol is derived from pregnenolone, and that happens to also be what testosterone is derived from, DHT. So as a male, that's the ones we want in the right amounts. Also, the fact that blue light is suppressing melatonin as well, and melatonin controls aromatase, and aromatase is what converts testosterone into estrogen. So you got it coming from two angles there. So that's why you got to double down your light environment.
For anyone who's not familiar, blue light is just anything artificial, right? So standard lights in your home, your office, etc.
LEDs, screens, things of that nature. So again, the biggest needle mover is going to be wearing blue light blockers and blocking your taking care of your light environment and doubling down on that, and getting outside during the day and getting lots of sunlight to regulate your circadian rhythm, basically. And that comes into the next thing. So if you set your light environment up good, you're going to sleep good, right? And when you sleep good, that's also going to help influence hormones in a positive fashion. It's going to influence testosterone. It's going to influence growth hormone. It's going to influence thyroid hormone and leptin and so many other things. Also, the fact that it will influence dopamine as well, which is technically not a hormone in itself, but it does tie into optimizing testosterone as well. Um, and then another one is, well, if we look at that, having like a night routine will set us up for a good sleep. But then also a morning routine as well is going to be extremely helpful. Getting outside then as well. This is tied back to the light environment, but also um, just the fact of just putting your feet in the ground and just being out in sunrise is going to give you that gratitude, I suppose, and connection to nature, which is also a huge thing, which we'll talk about, is the mindset component as well. That's a really, really big one to understand, is that any sort of stress, any sort of trauma, that's also going to push pregnenolone down to the cortisol pathway as opposed to the sex hormone pathway, right? Um, so that's another huge one to address. And if we even dissect that even further, um, we can talk about breathing as well. Even just the effect of breathing through your mouth constantly is going to create a stress response compared to nasal breathing per se. So addressing that is going to be huge as well. Breathing through your nose. To a degree, potentially using mouth tape at night when you sleep. Not ideal for long term, but it's just good way to encourage that nasal breathing, basically. And in terms of all that, there's also the fact that if we tie it back to the dopamine side of things as well, dopamine heavily influences prolactin in the brain, and if we have high prolactin in the brain from low dopamine, that literally dampens the testosterone sex hormone response. Okay, so it's good to address that in terms of dopamine, and in terms of if you are somewhat catching yourself doing things that are like artificial dopamine, maybe a little bit too much. So like checking your phone or, eating processed foods or drugs and alcohol or whatever it may be, porn, all those kinds of things. It's just like very much limiting yourself from that and prioritizing natural dopamine. So that's obviously from the sun. So tying back to that light environment again, getting sunlight throughout the day. And just doing stuff that is, and other things like, reading and learning and just being productive in terms of, and not procrastinating is going to be huge there as well in terms of repairing dopamine. Um, and then if we look at it from the exercise perspective as well, I'll just go through all the fundamental stuff. Exercise. So again, tying to the light stuff, don't want to be training, in a blue lit gym late at night, because that's going to create a stress response, and it's like a double-edged sword in a way. You're burning the candle at both ends, as opposed to maybe just training outside and doing a quick workout outside. Again, we're not here to become bodybuilders either, so maybe just a bit of resistance training, having a few weights at your house potentially, or at a park, and doing workout there is going to be significantly better, just because of everything we spoke about in terms of copying nature there, right? Um, and then if we just quickly touch on the nutrition stuff, it's like it's obviously playing a role as well. We need all the nutrient cofactors to build sex hormones properly, and thyroid hormone, which also influences sex hormone production, things of that nature. So it's what's optimal there is like a seasonal diet. So opting for what's available in at your latitude, somewhat. So, and again, putting a priority on animal-based foods as well. Um, and then that carbohydrate fat ratio will shift throughout the seasons, which we delve very much into in the full episode, in terms of like macros and how nature literally controls your macros basically. But yeah, so it'd be like seafood and shellfish are huge there. Um, Animal foods like grass-fed meat, grass-fed dairy, grass-fed butter. Um, I mentioned seafood like lamb, all those sort of things, and then fermented foods are also a great one to incorporate. And then yeah, seasonal vegetables, seasonal starches. Sourdough bread can be good for some, depending on where you're at, and lots of herbs and spices as well. Just lots of fresh herbs. Even herbs in themselves have like compounds that have lots of benefits. So incorporating a wide array of those as well is going to be great. And then supplementation. I mean, if you are doing all that and you want that a little bit more, great. That's when supplements can be awesome. And generally, I mean, I only have maybe like 10 to 20 that I have like up my arsenal that I use for my clients, basically, depending on the scenario. But a few good ones to use, like based off not blood work or symptoms, is just like magnesium glycinate is always a breadwinner in my eyes in terms of like enhancing sleep, getting more magnesium in, and the glycine component of it, which is lacking in the modern world, because we don't eat enough slow cooked meat. That's another one to add to the nutrition, actually. Um, yeah, and then in terms of other supplements, I mean, honestly, that's probably all I'd recommend just for like the average person. And then I'd classify like shellfish and like occasionally like organ meats as supplements to a degree, like real functional foods and the fermented foods. And all of that synergistically is just it's going to make your hormone panel so much better. Um, Inevitably, it will get to the top range. Um, it just takes time and patience, and that's another thing. I think that's an important thing to take into account, is just like not being too sucked into how you're feeling, and like really appreciating the journey in the grand scheme of things, and understanding that yeah, health is not linear. It is, but it's not like a perfectly linear line. It is. There's lots of ups and downs in it, basically. So, and I think that's a huge one, tying in back with the mindset stuff as well. Is that if you are constantly worrying about where you're at, if you're not getting like an erection in the morning, or you feel like your libido's low, that in itself, those thoughts are going to affect you. So it's like I think a strong word there is surrendering, and just letting your biology do what it does best by putting it in its right environment, by addressing all those fundamentals.
Yeah, and that's what I love about what you've just listed, these fundamentals, right? Because the average person in the Western world, anyway, who's got low hormone levels or something imbalanced, our minds immediately go to, what do I need to do to fix this? Do I need, hormone supplementation? And they're just looking, we just look at this end result. But you've listed so many things underlying it, and really tied back how to stress, because it's so common today for people to say and give advice, just be less stressed. But the way you've just laid it out here, it's like you can see, you do these things that are stressors. Just take strong blue light as an example, artificial light, sending that stress signal to into your body, and then splitting off the hormone pathways from the sex hormones into stress hormones, cortisol, etc. Then I think it really helps tie it all together, how people can end up in these states, and it gives a person the power in their own hands to follow some of these fundamentals to rebuild, yeah, hormone levels, but also health. Whereas if we're just chasing that end result, which is usually the problem, looking at the problem of hormone levels, it's kind of like a hamster wheel, because if you don't touch any of the stuff you've mentioned, it's just bound to stay there or maybe get worse.
Absolutely, got to be attacked from all angles, I think, and building up your biochemistry, basically. to be able to, because if you are having all these things all at once, it might seem very hard, but it's like you slowly incorporate these things and be patient, and you just get this sense of resilience, and your hormone panel will resemble that basically. And of course, like how you feel.